Welcome back. Lakeitha Elliott is Executive Director of the Gordly-Burch Center for Black Leadership and Civic Engagement. She's been a policy advisor for now Multnomah County Chair Jessica Vega Pederson, a former party chair for Multnomah County Democrats, Community Engagement Director at the Oregon Legislature, and recently worked with State Representative Janelle Bynum, who is now running for Congress. Representative Bynum was just on this program a couple of weeks ago. Lakeitha Elliott, welcome to Eye on Northwest Politics.
Thank you so much for having me.
What is your vision for how this center will operate?
My vision is shared with, Senator Gordly and Ms. Fay in that it's an opportunity to develop the next generation of leaders and have folks ready to run for office, but also ready to serve on boards and commissions, and also to train the community on how do we support our leaders, how do we help them get elected, how do we support them once they're in, and also how do we hold them accountable once they're in. That's a big piece of it. And then the history, the telling the story. I'm often out and about, and when I say from Portland, Oregon, or Black leadership in Portland, they're like, there are Black people in Portland, there's Black leadership. And we have a long history of Black leadership in Portland, in Oregon in general. And so to be able to tell that story, to share that with people, I always give the example that, so just recently, Jesse Beeson was appointed to the Multnomah County Commission. And I asked folks, did you all know that there was another Black man who had been served on the county commission, and that he's the fourth Black person to serve on the commission? But a lot of people don't know that history. And so how do we continue to share that history? Let our young people know and be proud of that history, that there have always been Black folks who have stepped up for them, who have been in elected office, who have served in these civic leadership positions. How do we tell that story? Another story I often share is, that Nikenge from the Urban League and Rakai of the 1803 Fund and myself, we all got to go to Tubman Middle School. That was a direct result of Black leadership and Black leaders showing up, telling the school board that they wanted, a middle school in the Black community. And so now you see the direct results of that leadership. And so how do we continue to tell those stories to show the impact of Black leadership?
If you're going to run for office, what are some of the top things to consider?
I think one of the top things to consider is the impact on your family. I think before you can step into that role is, knowing that your family is going to be able to be supported, those kinds of things. The other thing is understanding the systems and understanding how things work, how to fundraise, how to report funds. Like, there are people who are excited about running for office, but don't often know the details. And that's where we can offer that kind of support and leadership development. That's where we can develop folks who are prepared to run campaigns so that you don't have to know it all. You can have a campaign manager that that does a lot of that work. You don't do that work as the candidate.
There's another group called Emerge that does some of this similar type work. How would what you do at the Gordly-Burch Center be different from what, say, Emerge does?
Yep. In some ways similar to what Emerge does. I went through the Emerge program. Again, great program, great network of folks, but they're not prepared to support a Black person running for office and the unique challenges and opportunities there. They're not going to understand when you're called being called a racist name, or when racist comments are made on your online post. They're not prepared to support you in that. They're not necessarily prepared to connect you with other Black leaders who can support your efforts, to offer you that mentoring of Black leadership. They don't have that there. There's a strong network, there's some good skill development, but this is an opportunity to be culturally specific, to really look at what are Black values, connect with the community, the Black community, versus what Emerge offers. So again, some similar things, some skill development, but really culturally specific.
When do you anticipate getting classes started, and what do you need to do between now and then to get things up and running?
Right. So we're hoping that classes can start as early as March. Right now we have been gathering current elected leaders, former elected leaders, people who have gone through Emerge program and other leadership programs, to ask them what was missing in those programs, what else is needed, asking the current and former elected, what were the skills that you needed, what were the readings that you found helpful, who are the people that we need to connect with. And then, of course, some more fundraising, fund development. We have a few grants, but we're definitely doing some fundraising and grant writing.
Okay. We've got about a minute left, but how will you identify and choose the people who go through the program?
I think in some ways we'll look at folks who have gone through some of these other leadership programs. Other ways are identifying folks. So seeing Governor Kotek there, like she's part of why I got into politics. I was a PTA mom, and she invited me to go and participate in an Emily's List, like a national leadership training. And so a lot of times we don't run for office because we haven't been asked. And so seeing people who are in other leadership positions, perhaps PTA, perhaps union leadership, those kind of folks. But we see those folks who are showing up for PTA meetings, for community meetings, and so encouraging and engaging them in that. And then of course people who might be interested who don't know that there's an opportunity like this, and so putting it out in the public to make sure that they know this is an opportunity to support.
Last thing, we've got a pretty important election cycle that's coming up this year. You know, we've got more positions on Portland City Council. A couple of the Multnomah County Commission seats are opening up. Of course, people are starting to announce running for Congress.
Yep.
Do you anticipate working with any of those potential candidates?
Our hope is yes. And they might not necessarily go through the full leadership program, but definitely offering support, offering connections to that history. I often share things like Charles Jordan's book to connect there. Connecting folks to the network of Black folks in the community. Like Ms. Avell said, I'm born and raised here, I have a strong network, and so it's important to know who the folks are, to be connected with them. And so, yeah, we'll definitely be encouraging and supporting folks in those too.
Thank you, Lakeitha Elliott. Good luck with the program, and we'll be right back.